Now we're just going to yell at each other. Is Jalen Hurts a better quarterback than Brock Purdy?
I have them in the same tier. I think Jalen Hurts is better for the Eagles. I don't think Brock Purdy's going over to the Eagles and improving that team. But I also don't think Jalen Hurts is coming over to the 49ers and improving the 49ers. I think they are better for their specific teams where they're at right now, and they're kind of in the same tier to me. That's how I see those guys.
It's fair. It's fair. I think Jalen Hurts is clearly a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. And because I think, again, you have to expand your mind, like your thought process of what a quarterback is. If it's just pocket passing, then maybe Brock's better. But since 2022, when Brock has become a quarterback in the NFL, including playoffs, here's passing numbers for Brock and Jalen. Brock has a completion percentage of 66.9. Jalen Hurts has a completion percentage of 66.9. Identical. Touchdown passes for Brock since 2022, 70. Touchdown passes for Jalen Hurts since 2022, 70. Interceptions since 2022, Brock, 28. Hurts, 26. So Brock also has higher yards per attempt, but still it's their numbers are shockingly similar as passers. And then you factor in Jalen Hurts has 51 rushing touchdowns and Brock has 9. I mean, to me, like, Brock is really nice. Stafford's really good. Herbert's really good. Burrow, great player. But these are all guys who are like, these are like gunfighters at the OK Corral with one gun on their hip. Yeah. And they've been winning shootouts for a long time. They're quick on the draw. But now you got guys, and I'm going to name the 5 again: Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Hurts, and Daniels. These are dudes at the OK Corral with 2 guns on their hips. 2. And I want that second gun, Ryan. And that second gun for Jalen Hurts is his legs. And as a runner, I mean, he's up there with some like Steve Young and some of the best runners we've seen. He's big. He's a huge threat in the red zone, and he's the difference between touchdowns and field goals for that team a lot. So is he elite? No, but I think the Vikings would be better with him than Darnold. I think the Lions would be better with him than Goff. That second gun on your hip is so valuable, and I think there's more and more of these players coming in the league. So it's hard to win with Stafford now. As great as he is, it's hard to win with Burrow now because your running game is limited in ways that these teams isn't.
Yeah, I mean, so you make a good point. One counter I'll make on that is those touchdown statistics for Jalen Hurts, or to take away the tush push, is not as great as it seems.
But we saw it in the game yesterday. He had that nice touchdown on a quarterback draw from about 10 yards out. That's a really nice weapon.
It is. Yeah. And I will say Kyle tried to get that with Trey Lance. He just gave up on it after a couple of injuries.
He ran in between the tackles without a lead blocker and got him broken. But yeah,
the emergence of Brock and
also Hurts slides
and all that. But he does slide. Let me ask you this though: would the 49ers be better with Jalen Hurts than they are with Brock Purdy, in your opinion, with Kyle Shanahan?
No, because of the system. Because Kyle's system, we saw with Trey Lance, Kyle's system doesn't really maximize that kind of a quarterback, which is too bad because Sirianni's system does, Kingsbury's system does, Andy Reid's system does. That's what's so interesting to me. Andy Reid is almost 70 years old, and he came up under Mike Holmgren, like in the true West Coast offense. And he has incorporated more of like the new age college style spread RPO in the hit. We saw it yesterday. The whole opening drive was RPOs. Then Kyle, who's 45, and he's stuck in this like throwback offense because it's what he knows. Mm-hmm. Like, expand your mind, Kyle. Come on. You got to go to Mexico and take some ayahuasca and expand your mind.
Yeah, that's why I say like, and then let me ask you this another question for you. Tier wise, right? You got the elite quarterbacks. You got Patrick Mahomes by himself. You got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Then you got the guys that are kind of borderline, like maybe the Jaden Daniels and the Herberts that might end up being in that elite realm at some point, maybe. And then you got the good quarterbacks that aren't great. That's where I have Brock Purdy. That's where I have Jalen Hurts. Do you have them in the same tier, or do you have them in different tiers?
I'm starting to make like a new tier, and I'm going to call it something like quarterbacks with no limitations.
Okay.
Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Hurts, Daniels. And maybe Hurts isn't, maybe he has more limitations than the other 4. Maybe he's the 5th, but damn, he's pretty good. And it's like That's a tier I want to create right now. Quarterbacks with no limitations. These are the guys with two guns on their hips. As great as Burrow is, can't do that. As great as Stafford is, as great as Herbert is, they can't do that. Yeah. And I still think that those teams, it's like they're always at the mercy of one bad game from that quarterback. If Goff has a bad day that day, you can't just turn to his legs and say, okay, well, we're going to run with our quarterback and our running back, and it's not your day. We've seen it with Hurts. Like, it's not your day, man. We're not going to let you lose the game throwing. But if Stafford has a bad day, if Herbert has a bad day like he did in the playoffs a few weeks ago, you're fucked. You're fucked. Yeah. But the Eagles are not. And so that's to me what I want. And that's why I don't want to give Brock Purdy $55 million because he's a one-dimensional core. He doesn't have that other weapon, which is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous.
Brock Purdy definitely has limitations from, he's not a runner. He's mobile. He's a scrambler, but he's not going to run like Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson. Daniels, he doesn't have the arm talent, so he is limited in that regard. I would just ask you this you said no limitations. Is Jalen Hurts limited from the standpoint of 3-step drop, boom, get the ball out, accurate and on time?
The limitation for him is like, okay, you're not the most sophisticated passer. Like, we don't necessarily want to put you in a system where you're making full field reads all the time. So let's put you in a spread RPO attack. And it's like tic-tac-toe. If this guy, it's a lot of 1 and 2 read stuff. It's simple stuff because all the sophistication is in the running game. Mm-hmm. And they win that way. And it's like, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, maybe you stylistically, aesthetically prefer what Kyle's doing with his offense. But again, the way I look at it is no matter what Kyle is doing, it's essentially a one-back offense because there's only one rushing threat on the field. Debo is like a second kind of, but not anymore. And the same with the Rams and the same with the Lions. Once the quarterback is a rushing threat too, now you sort of have 2 running backs on the field. And those offenses are just way harder to stop. Like even Bill Walsh back in the day, there were always 2 rushing threats on the field, Rathman and Craig. What I don't like about Juszczyk is that he's a tight end. He's not a back. He don't ever hand him the ball because he's not he'll fumble. Mm-hmm. It's like having another tight end on the field, which is fine. It's a blocker and a receiver, but I like 2 rushing threats on the field. And look at the teams that have it and how freaking dangerous they are. And look, Mahomes, you don't think of him that way, but in the biggest games of the year where you got to have it, all of a sudden, he's Kansas City's most dangerous rusher.
And my problem with Brock, because I was talking about, dropping back, getting the ball out quick, making the right decision. My problem with Brock Purdy after this past season was that he was really good at that in his rookie year and his first full year. And that was supposed to be his superpower. This past year, he wasn't good at it at all. And I don't know what's going on, but that's what makes me uncomfortable paying for him. And like to make the comparison, what you're saying with Jalen Hurts, that he has, no limitations. I'm arguing, hey, maybe Brock has maybe he's limited in being able to do that. But Brock this past year was not doing it either. And so that's my concern with Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy is going to be stay in that same tier that I have Jalen Hurts and him, because I think Jalen Hurts is missing that ability to drop back, get the ball out quick and make the right decision. Brock needs to have that ability. And this last year, he hasn't shown that he has that ability. And so that's my biggest concern with Brock. Like, that's supposed to be what makes you good, dude. And where is that now?
If I were a general manager or a coach in the NFL and I needed a quarterback and I had some space on my team, not even necessarily a starter, someone to invest in and develop. And I'm looking at the quarterbacks who had the most success this year, whose teams had the most success. The final 4 teams this year all had all had dual threat quarterbacks. All 4. I mean, why not go sign Justin Fields? Sign him to a 2-year deal. It'll be cheap. He was on the freaking Bears and the Steelers, 2 of like the worst offensive organizations in football. They're in the Stone Age when it comes to offense, those 2 teams. Those are defense teams. Give that guy a freaking shot. Why not? I mean, and Trey Lance. Those 2. I think Trey Lance and Justin Fields deserve another shot in a different system more of an RPO style system. And Justin Fields is going to need to learn to be more decisive. That's one of the better things about Justin Fields. But man, I think he could, if you took Jalen Hurts off the Eagles and put Justin Fields on that team,
similar.
they might be better.
Yeah, I think the Eagles need to sign. If I'm the Eagles, I'm signing one of those two quarterbacks, preferably Justin Fields. If not Justin Fields, I'm going with Trey Lance. Commanders too. I've slowly come that's been my evolving.
Dude, the Lions should do that, man. As much I like Jared Goff, hell of a player, man, but you can't move. Can you imagine how much better Jahmyr Gibbs would be if he had a rushing threat as a quarterback next to him?
It's true, and that's been my opinion. It's changed. Has slowly become my opinion. Justin Fields, to me, is probably the best free agent quarterback available right now. Yeah, he did
like we're getting back into Jimmy Garoppolo thing, where it's like, okay, you don't want to throw that much with Brock, right? You want to run you want to be a running team, right? But Brock isn't contributing to the running game, so he's handing off a lot, and that's it. Like, okay, well, Jalen Hurts can do that too, and a lot more.
If Brock Purdy and the 49ers want success next year, that's the direction they have to. They need to go to the Jimmy Garoppolo offense, where Brock drops back, gets the ball out quick, and they depend on Yak and the run game. That's what they need to get back to. When Jimmy Garoppolo had success, what they were doing last year was trying to make Brock somebody he's not, which is just like a dude that can go out there and just put the game on his shoulders. He's not that guy. He's just not. They need to get back to the Jimmy Garoppolo offense with Brock.
And here's the conundrum I think I'm trying to point out, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being overreactionary, but look at the Packers. Mm-hmm. They gave Jordan Love hella money because he looks like a traditional quarterback. He's mobile enough, but he's not a dual threat quarterback, and he's a pocket quarterback. Mm-hmm. And he freaking blew it in the playoffs again. And meanwhile, when he didn't play and Malik Willis was in there, who is a legit dual threat quarterback, I thought they looked better. Because again, with Jordan Love, you don't want him throwing 35 passes. They were among the league leaders in rushing attempts. It's all about handing off to Josh Jacobs anyway. So how about if your quarterback can contribute 7 or 8 runs a game too, and maybe a rushing touchdown or 2 as well? You're probably going to win more because you're not worried about Jordan Love's picks. You're always worried about Jordan Love's picks. If we put the game in his hands, is he going to throw it away? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. Seems like it. So don't run that. So get it. I'm just saying, I'm ranting now, but this is my new thing. I feel like I had an epiphany. I want Malik Willis on the 49ers. They have to have, they got Trey Lance. They broke Trey Lance. And now they're scared of the project, but that's the future of the league.
Man, that one kid from, he's the backup on the Patriots. Did you ever watch Milton?
Joe Milton.
Oh my God. Yeah. Did you watch that game?
Every team should have a dual threat project on their roster somewhere. Yeah. Every team. How do you not?
So to summarize this though, I think Jalen's better on the Eagles. I think Brock's better on the Niners because of Kyle. But if I was starting the new team and I could decide my offense and who I'm going to build around, I would probably go with Jalen Hurts. But all that being said, I think both of those guys are heavily dependent on the team around them.
Absolutely. No question about it. I would agree. And that's probably why they're not, either of them are quote unquote elite. But if you can win a Super Bowl, if Jalen Hurts wins this game, if he can beat Patrick Mahomes, I'm not sure he will, but that's who really cares what he is or what tier he is? He did it. Last time he faced the Chiefs, he put up a lot of points. So let's see if he can do it.
The Eagles have the better team, but so did the Niners last year.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.